Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria, and just as we promised, we are going to talk about barnacles. So we have a beautiful green sea turtle right in front of me who has many small, but also some larger ones towards the back of her carapace, which is the shell on her back. So if you believe it or not, I actually am more of a turtle and coral person, but I did study my barnacles last night, and I am going to share with you the more interesting facts that I found. So these barnacles are actually called sea turtle barnacles, hence that they live on these sea turtles. They attach themselves by a glue that they excrete, and it's actually called sea turtle glue or sea turtle cement. It's actually known to be 6 times stronger than any man-made glue, so it's very strong. So they're able to hold on to these sea turtles and make most of their lives by filter feeding in the water column. So they basically have these little feather-like legs that come out of them, and they grab all the plankton out in the water so they can eat and survive. Now these barnacles that are smaller are what we're calling baby barnacles. Their actual name are called cyprids, and they will get to fully grown like the ones on their back in about a year. Their average lifespan is about 5 to 10 years, although some are known to grow up to 20 years. And they will be on the carapace of sea turtles, of those that are slower and not really active sea turtles. So this is probably why we're seeing them in some and not in others. They are actually able to move. So even though a lot of barnacles are sessile, meaning that they don't move, these can move 1.1 millimeters per day. So it's a very small amount, but in our larger sea turtles, sometimes we can see how they have left a mark behind of where they used to be located and now they had moved up. These barnacles here are, again, sea turtle barnacles, but there are over 1,000 different species. So there are many different barnacles out there with many different lifespans and ecosystems that they live in. If you guys have any questions for me, I can answer them here if you just want to leave a comment. But again, these barnacles do not affect our sea turtles. They're not living a symbiotic relationship, so they're not really helping the sea turtle at all, but they're not really affecting them all that much until they get overloaded. So if a sea turtle is not feeling too good or is not very healthy or active out in the ocean, they may start taking over the shell and can actually grow on their eyes and on their nostrils that can be very dangerous for our sea turtles. But I see that we may have a question, so I can get that question now.
So the question that was asked, you've already answered part of it, which is, does it hurt the sea turtle? But the next question is, does it hurt the sea turtle when you remove them?
Oh, that's a good question. So we don't believe so, as when we are removing them before we release them back out, they are not really moving. If anything, they kind of enjoy the fact that they're getting cleaned. It's more like a spa treatment is what we call it. So we will be scratching. So they'll get like a good scratch, like a dry scratch, and we'll remove these with some sort of equipment in order to just peel them off. So out in the wild, these barnacles will attach themselves for several months to several years to sea turtles. But once a sea turtle becomes too active for them, they may choose to detach themselves from that sea turtle and grab onto another location like a pier or fishing dock or any other kind of hard surface that is probably not so movable as a sea turtle.
The next question is, when are you going to remove them?
Good question. So we usually remove them about a day before we are going to release them. So we will, in the next couple of days, start swim testing our smaller sea turtles, and our larger ones, because they don't get shocked as hard, we'll start removing those barnacles and pit tagging them. So we're able to locate these sea turtles if they restrand with us. So
and
good.
then another question, I think you've already answered it, but for the people that just joined, will you be removing them before you return them back out into the wild?
Yeah, so we want to remove them because it can cause drag on our sea turtles. So we want them to be nice and smooth in the water so they're able to swim away from predators. We also don't want them to have that extra weight on their carapace, as well as we don't want them taking over their shell as well as maybe other parts of their bodies. As I mentioned before, they can grow on their heads, on their eyes, and on their nostrils, and that's kind of when we start worrying about them spreading. All right, guys, so that is our short barnacle talk. If you have any questions, you can comment below and I can get them answered later today. If not, guys, thank you guys so much for coming onto our live. We will probably be going live when we are removing these barnacles, as everyone loves to see. And thank you guys again for coming on. We are in our 3rd day of cold stud, and so we're super tired, but we are pushing through. Thank you guys so much for your support.